Yo, hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I like your hair actually. It looks great.
You know what's funny? I was trying to do a new hairstyle because I hate getting ready. I'm the laziest person when it comes to getting ready, and I was trying to have the bun stay up, but my hair is so heavy that right when it was about to be through, I clipped this big ass clip behind it that hopefully no one can see in the middle of the interview.
Looks fine. You look
Your hair
good.
looks great too.
Thank you. Thanks.
So,
It's waking up
huh?
and getting out of bed is
Are
my
you?
my
Well, I'm
hair
not going to
routine.
judge because are you a night owl? Because I'll sleep. I slept at 5:30 and then I woke up at 9 and I don't know why, but I can never sleep. And then I just like sleeping in throughout the day.
No, I feel you. I go to bed at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m.
Yep.
and wake up like
At,
at 1 in
at
the
3.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey,
I'm
what's
like
up,
waking
Benny?
up.
Wait, hold on one second. I don't go on Instagram a lot, so it's very special when I do get to go on here and say hi to
Oh,
people.
yay.
So I want to say hi to the chat really quick. Hey, what's up, Benny? Hey, what's up, my ones? Hey, well, hold on. Let me read down this. Hey, Christian. Hope everyone's doing all right.
But yeah,
I
for
miss
anyone
everyone.
who is joining us too, feel free to leave questions below on the Instagram live. When I'm done with my questions, I'm going to open it up to the fans. So just leave them in there below. So, okay, there's so many things I want to talk to you about. First, obviously, Mango Tail. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You know, every time I do interviews, I always want it to be something that's themed around the album. And what I liked was that a lot of the songs had to do with like a crush or love in relationships, but it was in a different way. It wasn't stuff like, oh, calling someone like babe or like sweetheart. It would be like, oh, you're like a lemon or you're like a fresh water. I'm sure I'm off, but I love that.
Yeah.
And that's why I
No, you're
originally
right.
wanted to.
You're totally right. Hey, everyone's saying hi in the chat. I want to say hi to the chat again. Welcome, everyone who's tuning in. Thanks for coming into our conversation on IG Live. Glad you liked the album. Thanks for being a fan. Yo, Jen, thank you for mentioning that. I'm glad you brought up
No,
these
it's
references.
so clever. So for anyone who hasn't listened to Mango Tail, because when you hear Mango Tail, you're like, wait, what is that going to be? Another thing, I'm also Filipino, so that's why it was even funnier to
Yeah,
me that you
let's
use
go.
mango. So we're gonna get into that Filipino culture, but I love that you had that. So I wanted to ask you first with Mango Tail. One, it's so like vibey and positive. Like I was listening to it, I'm like,
Thank
this is
you.
something where it's like you could be walking down the beach and like someone could punch you in the face and you're still gonna be in a good mood if you're listening to
I
Mango
mean,
Tail. So
if
let's talk
someone punched me
about
in the
one.
face, I
Yeah, like
I'd think for a second as to like what just happened, but I'm glad you feel that way. That means a lot.
I
Thanks for
love it.
telling me.
So what? Okay, you have different features for each song, and they're all so clever. How did you
Mm.
pick who the people were going to be for the features, and then why did you pick that theme of having like that subtle love and relationship, but still, it kind of reminded me of like puppy love, like your first crush type like vibe. So why did you go with that kind of theme?
Oh, I'm glad you. Thank you. I love making music with my friends. I love being collaborative. I think that's one of the coolest things about being creative and making music and art and
Mm-hmm.
making like even if you're like a journalist or like you make a web series or you're making a
Mm-hmm.
film, it's always that you make a lot of friends in the process of making something and you like learn a lot of things. You gain a lot of knowledge from like being in the room with different people and like
Mm-hmm.
having like hearing all these stories and like having all these different perspectives come out. Um, so I take a lot of value and I take a lot of I just love working with people and like hearing people talk and like having conversations with people. So like that makes itself into like a lot of the lyrical content and like Mango Tail
Mm-hmm.
is like just having conversations with like my friends and like talking to like Rachel or Kennedy or
Yeah.
someone and like we'll just sit on the couch and like talk about like how's your day or like what was your morning like or like how'd you do last weekend. Um,
Yeah.
and a lot of that always makes its way into the music and it becomes conversational and it becomes like personal and it becomes like very introspective, but at the same time it's like what is the other person thinking or like what all these sort of different things. And a lot of throughout like the whole album and like a lot of the lyrical themes, it's like on the surface level it's like based around food. Like you hear all these like references and you hear all double entendres and you triple meanings of things. and very
Yeah.
much visual and like sensory lyrics. But at the same time, it's like it very like the way that like people like Rachel and Kennedy sort of speak in their like lyrics. It's very much like very much hopeful, like hopefully optimistic, and like when you like make friendships and like learn new things about people, it's like it's so like those lyrics are talking about like, oh, I'm falling in love for the first time, and you get into this like dreamy fantasy state of like being
Yeah.
enamored by another person, and like for whatever for forever how long, or like maybe for like the first few months you're in this like honeymoon phase of like, yo, this person's the coolest person ever, they're they're so sweet, or like maybe I don't know, there's so many different factors and like different parameters as to like how people in like different human relationships like get along, and like
Mm.
I love observing that.
Yeah, I loved it because even like I said, it was just the positive. It takes you back to that first crush. It doesn't get into like the arguments and like all the crazy shit that happens like after, like when you start to get comfortable with someone. So I love that. I gotta ask you, so like I said, there was different references to food. Like I swear it was something like sweet like mango or something. What or like I don't know what it was, but I remember hearing it and I'm like, it literally was describing a fruit, but I couldn't remember what it was. So I was gonna ask you, what is your favorite what do they call it, not like baby names or like sweetheart names, you know how people use like babe, baby, sweetheart, honey, so
Yeah.
what's your favorite and then your least favorite?
Oh, it's a good question, because like at least in Mango Tail, or at least the way I love writing music with people, it's like I try to avoid gendered sort of terms for that, or like if you can like tell like the gender from like the way you people say like babe or baby, or like love, or like hey cutie pie, or like all
Yeah.
these sort of different names of like terms, yeah, terms
Yeah,
for,
term
of
of endearment.
endearment.
Shout out to Parker Garage. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is
thank
so
you.
perfect.
um I think there's like cooler and like more interesting ways to like say those things, or like when people like, because you there's sort of like a, I don't know, deceptive cadence way of like
Yeah, that's
saying
why I
one
love
thing.
the lyrics, because I'm like, this is not the typical term of endearment. It's very applied to everybody and anything. So
Yeah, that's
mango.
yeah, it's like I love when
Sorry.
things aren't obvious and you can pick up context clues from like hearing something, and
Yeah.
like just things that aren't like so on the nose, but at the same time, at least in the way it's in Mango Tail, it's like things are on either like super on the nose, but it's like referring to something else that isn't on the nose, or
Yeah.
like maybe it isn't completely on the nose in general. But like after, I like it when people listen to like music, like a piece of music, like tens, hundreds of times, and you start to pick out new elements and like like
Yeah.
new like different layers to like this sort of thing, and like what the intention, or like you find like different purposes and meanings to like this piece of music that you've been listening to hundreds of times. I love when people are like, when you listen to like this is a different example, but like Marble Soda has like hundred something samples in it, and like every time people listen to it, or like you pick out a new sample, you pick out like a new melody that's like tucked in somewhere. And I sort of like took that concept of like maximalism, like hyper melodic maximalism, and like put it into like the lyrical aspects of like the writing, and like um there's so many things, there's so many different layers of like people, like even though it's pop music, like pop music is made to be clear, it's made to be like concise,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be, it's like pop music is supposed to, you're supposed to get it on the first listen when you hear it on the radio, or like when you hear it in a movie, or like a piece of content, or like a, I don't know, like a documentary, or like you hear it on the street, or like at a mall. But it's cool when, even though there's like this layer of like fun, lighthearted, like conciseness and like clearness, and like everything sort of like feels like you get it all of a sudden, but like when you listen to it 100 times more, you start to like figure out like the deeper like the third layers of meaning, and like there's like
Yeah.
different things that you didn't pick up on when you first experienced this, and like you find different ways to interpret it as like as the time goes on.
No, I loved it. What I did want to ask was, when you open, this is so random and completely unrelated to music, and we'll get back into music. So the intro to the album is Princess Peach, and every time I hear even the character Princess Peach, I ask everyone, like, did you ever save Princess Peach like in the actual Super Mario game? There's a
Wait, say that again.
Huh?
what do you mean by like
No, there's the actual like Princess Peach. That's why it was just like I didn't know if it
yeah.
was tied to that. But in that game, like literally, I tried to play Super Mario 64 like all throughout my childhood, and I could never say Princess Peach. So like I just was laughing when I heard it because it reminded me of that. But if it had nothing to do with that, then scratch that question.
No, it had everything to do with that. Or
Yeah.
it had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, so like the other day, the source files for Super Mario 64 got leaked or something,
Oh wow.
and you could like dig up like an old character model of Luigi who wasn't in the game before, but like the people who worked on that game made Luigi but didn't put him like in the actual playable part of the game.
Oh wow.
I mean, like, yeah, that's like sort of unrelated. This is like a tangent, but I love Super Mario 64. It's like one of the very first video games I've ever played, and like, I wanted as much of the thematic, like a lot, like pretty much all the songs or most of the songs on the project are like named after other foods and like sort of references to like things that you can like taste and like references to like adjectives and like and all like there's like and when I named the first song Princess Peach, it was like well, Princess Peach is a character in a video game, which I love video games and I love Super Mario 64, but at the same time it also fits the theme just enough where like it makes sense and like it's very visual, and like when I like hear that song I'll like think of Princess Peach and like I'll try to like maybe freestyle lyrics in my head that are about Princess Peach, but
I
like never
love that.
actually like
And your
do that.
production on the entire album is crazy, and that's
Oh,
what it.
thank you.
Yeah, like I'm like, it, like you said, even when you were referencing one of the songs, you were saying that you use 100 different samples, and it's like I can tell because it's like, but it's so precise when you're hearing it. So I wanted to commend you on that because your production's crazy.
Yeah.
The next thing I wanted to get into is the Filipino culture. So what I
Yo!
love is that, yes, so you are not a nurse or in the medical field. And I think that's a big thing because, like, you know, Filipino culture, for anyone who's not Filipino and is watching,
Yeah.
Filipino culture is very, you should be in the medical field. And it's like, clearly producing, creating an album and being an artist isn't in the medical field, but you've been able to do so many things. Like I saw your McDonald's campaign and the McDonald's campaign in the field, or just even like, you know how big McDonald's and Jollibee and stuff is, but it's like just to see that. So I wanted to talk to you about, one, did you always know that you wanted to be an artist, or did your family ever try to sway you into going to the medical field just because they were concerned about going into a field that isn't that and isn't the common thing like in our culture?
Oh, yo, I think you know the answer to that already. You kind of said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been into music. I've always like played instruments or like done something in music. But like I didn't even like I was supposed to go to UCLA as soon as I graduated high school. Like I got accepted and everything, and I did like a speech for my high school saying that like I'm excited to go to UCLA and like major in like science or whatever. But I ended up last minute dropping out before the semester even started, and like just making beats in my house, in like my parents' house, and eventually that became a music career. Yeah, shout out Bruins. I would have.
My bad, but thank you.
Yo, I was so close to becoming like a STEM science field type person and like doing like medical research and things.
Yeah.
Besides music, but I ended up not doing that. I like just like by a split hair of like making decisions and like having this self-actualization after high school, realizing that I don't want to. There's things that I'm more passionate about. Even though I love science, I love doing stuff in like the academic field. It's like I much more enjoy staying home or like being in the studio and making beats on a laptop. I very much more enjoy like I don't know. There's things that like it took me a lot of like self-doubt and like just going through like all the motions and emotions of like, should I go to college or should I not go to college, or like my parents want me to become a doctor or a lawyer, or like sort of I grow up, and pretty much most people grow up, at least in my cultural context, people do grow up in like sort of the headspace and like sort of the environment that like you have to follow this sort of predisposition, like sort of like, I don't know, there's like your destiny sort of like,
Yeah.
this sounds like a video game, but like there's like a, like when you grow up and you have all these like people around you and like you're like all this influence from like your parents and friends and from your surrounding community, and like on a family level, on a community level, on like a, like what's in your neighborhood, like the neighborhood you grow up in and like the school you go to, all these things influence like what you turn into like when you, once you grow up in like your development years. And like for me at least, it was like I had to become a big like medical doctor or like UCLA graduate and become like a, I don't know, like biologist or like something in that field. But just by like a split hair, I like dropped out before the semester started and just was like at home making beats for fun. And like and that happened to do well, which I'm glad. Like I'm glad that like turned out great, and now I'm here putting out an album, signed to a major label, and like doing all these cool things that I really wanted to do when I was a child, but like didn't think it was like an option. So like I'm glad you mentioned that.
No, it's a big thing because that's scary, and knowing that UCLA is a really 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 good school, so it's like having that opportunity. Like what was that moment? You said it was right before the semester. So not as far as time, but was there something? Was it like a sign from God? Was it like a conversation you had? Was it someone who doubted you? A friend that said, go ahead and just do it. It'll work out. Like, what was that made you say, you know what? This is the decision. This is the risk I'm going to take, and it's going to work.
You know, that's a great question. Like honestly, I just being on the internet a lot of the time. Like I grew up in like the time period where like everyone was on the internet. Luckily, like fortunately, I'm very much privileged to be able to like be have access to the internet growing up, and that's where I got a lot of like my sort of less old-fashioned, more different views outside of like my own community and like from my parents and from like my pretty much like environment that was like my physical environment, like going on the internet and like playing browsing video game forums and like browsing like, I don't know, like going on MySpace all the time and Facebook like having, I don't know, SoundCloud community as well, going on SoundCloud a lot, that like going on Twitter a lot, and like going like having conversations with people from like Los Angeles and like from out of the country, and like people are like come to Brazil, and like you hear all these like perspectives and like different like all of a sudden like the sphere and like your paradigms like feels bigger. It feels like there's so much more. You realize a lot more like consciously, a lot less subconsciously, that like there's so much more out there. There's like a whole like there's billions of people, and they all come from like different backgrounds and like come from different walks of life, and they like you get to like talk to people on the internet, and like you learn a lot about that. And that, I felt like that was a lot of what gave me the self-actualization to like want to drop out before the semester and do beats and music in my free time as just like sort of not necessarily a career. I didn't want it to be like, I wasn't like always thinking in the back of my head like, you have to be productive, you have to do this or do or die. But it was like I just wanted to be happy, or like I just wanted to feel like what I was doing, it was something that I was passionate about and something that I really wanted to do. And like at least I didn't want to have like a bunch of what ifs later in life after like taking 4 semesters or like taking like 4 years of STEM at UCLA, and like I'd start to ask myself these questions of like what if I did take like sort of like pensive thoughts and questions as to like what if I did like what if I was a beat maker instead, or what if I was a music producer, what if I was an artist instead of like where I'm at right now. I do still ask myself that, vice versa, but not as often as I think I would have like done if like I was, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I love that, because I think that I really wanted to ask you that because you are still very young too. And just to hear that, I think a lot more people need to hear that, because they're afraid to try something that isn't the norm and what society says you should do, when it's like if you just went out there and just like took that
hey,
risk,
what's up? Wait, I'm saying hi to everyone in the chat. Hey, what's up, Sanjoy? Hey, Benny. Go ahead, my bad.
Oh no, you're all good. But no, I really wanted that to be my last question in regards to that, because like I said, I think that it's great. It's always great to see not even just Filipinos, but even just people following their dreams, but even more so because you are Filipino, and it's like I said, you get like scolded for that if you don't do that. So I think it's amazing, and to see the success that you already have at a young age and then where it's going to be is very inspiring. So I think people needed to hear your perspective on that. So I love that you said no what ifs, and that should be the theme of the interview. So before I let you go, there's a few questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time.
Let's see.
Hey, what's up, Seth?
Okay, so Andre Harris, in testings, has Shawn ever considered selling the samples to some songs to do MIDI control covers? Because the rest of the question says, because I pay for them, to be honest.
Yo, great question. I want to give out the samples eventually. I just want to like put it up online somewhere for free.
How many samples do you have? Like just sitting on your drive or a bunch of drives?
I have a million. I literally have the entire universe of samples. I have like hard drives and like terabytes of different source material and like just stuff I've like even like ripped off from like YouTube videos and like Pandora and like the radio and like SoundCloud and all of that. I do believe that like at least to me, more importantly, is that like people are creating and like people are finding like the tools and like the accessibility to be able to like make things. So I want to be able to like make that available to people as much as possible at some point. I don't know when that's gonna be, but maybe like this year or next year, like 5 years from now. It's just I want the tools to be there. I want people to be able who are interested in like learning how to do this or like learning how to like make music and like do all these sort of things. And we have the technology. There's so much more technology here nowadays than there was like 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
So many.
But I want like, especially now, like I know that like stuff is expensive. Like to get like Ableton or FL Studio, it costs a lot of money. And like, I've always thought in the back of my head, like, what if there was like a free alternative that was just as good? Or like, what if there's like a library of like samples that like, I mean, there are libraries of samples that people can download, like whether it's Splice or like I don't know, stuff on the internet. But I'm always trying to like figure out, at least in my head, and I always write this in my notes, is like, what would be the more accessible way of like, or people being able to like do this stuff, or like, especially with like my MIDI fighter stuff, it's like, there's no like simple GI for it. There's no simple graphical interface for like doing MIDI fighter stuff or like doing beats. You have to watch like so many YouTube tutorials, and it takes like months and years to like develop like the skill set of like making like gigantic mashups and like making like cool production and like at least on like a professional level and like on like that type of thing. But I would love for I just want it to be easier for like the next generation of like creatives and like producers. I just want like people to be able to like press a button and like they have the tools available to them. Not necessarily it makes the music for them, but more so they have like the privilege and like the necessary means to be able to like do more things than like I was able to do back when I first started. So less stress. I want the next generation of creators to be able to do this stuff like less stressfully and like more easily and more fun. Because that's important. I want people to have fun when they make art and music, and I try to have fun myself when I make art and music.
Love that. Next one comes from Burke. How do you deal with creative blocks?
Very important question, and I get this a lot, and I feel like it's important that there might be like, if I'm having a creative block, I'll literally pack my stuff up and try to like distance myself as much as possible, like do something else, like if it's just like watching a movie or like playing video games or doing something that's like completely out of like this paradigm of like making music. I feel like it's important to like distance yourself from things sometimes, or at least have a balance, a healthy mental balance of like, I want to make art right now, or I don't want to make art right now. And there's, yeah, at least like for the album process, after I finished the album, I like took a break for a bit and just like went and like played video games like in bed all day. And like sometimes I would go to the park and like run around and like just do things that were outside of like making music all the time. Um, yeah, it's so important that like you don't force yourself, because if you're not having fun with like the creative process and you're sort of running into like a creative block, it can like it'll give you like a bad sense of like, or you'll like start to like less to like doing it less and less, and like you won't enjoy it as much, or you won't look forward to it as much. Like I feel like a lot of the point of like getting out of the creative block is being able to like inspire yourself again and like make you want to like do things, or like maybe you're like outside and in a different environment. Changing environments is super important, and like putting yourself in different situations and different places and like talking to people, it that's a lot of how I like gain new perspectives, and like I'm able to like take a step away from like myself sometimes, and like try to like be introspective and like think about what would this person's story sound like in a in like a music piece, or like I just watched, like maybe I just watched Toy Story 4 and I'm sort of like having this melody in my head after like yeah, just like find different things. Like you don't always have to be productive all the time, you don't have to make music all the time, and if it's not coming to you, you just have to like step back and like find something else to like occupy yourself and find yourself inspired with. And I do run into creative blocks all the time. It's like it's natural, everyone gets them, it happens to everyone. It's not something that like you don't deal with. They're like no one on every level, every single person, every like creative on every level deals with creative blocks at some point. So yeah, it's just a fact of life.
That's amazing advice. That's really, really great. There's a few more that I want to get into, and I did see someone in the chat ask if this live will be saved. Yes, it will. It'll be on my IGTV as soon as we wrap up. So if you guys missed the first half of the interview, you can go back and watch it. I like this question. This is from Era. Which song best represents your identity?
Oh, great question. So all the songs in the Mango Tail and all the songs I've put out through Shawn Wasabi, each song has been my favorite song at one point in my life, or like, and like all 12 songs on Mango Tail, each of those songs I like fell in love with in the process, and I couldn't get out of my head, and I couldn't stop playing it in the car and showing it to friends and like being like, yo, listen to this, it's the coolest thing ever, and like freaking out over it. So like I've had that process of like being enamored by each song over, like even there's like the 12 songs in the album, but also like all the other stuff I put out, like Burnt Rice and Marble Soda and like the Clear remix and like even stuff here and there. I've always like, wait, what was the question again? I like totally forgot.
I even forgot what it was. Oh, what song represents your identity the most?
Oh yeah. Good. Mango Tail, the whole album is my identity project. I wanted Mango Tail, the album, to be like my sonic identity. I want people to listen to it and be like, oh, this is what happens in Shawn Wasabi's head, or this is what happens. This is the music that he hears inside his head when he's like going about his day, or like, I don't know, that sort of thing. So like I identify with all those songs, but I feel like right now Hollow Hollow is like the song I most identify with, and like that was like my most repeated song after I put out the album. Like you go on my Spotify and there's the playlist called On Repeat that shows you all the songs that you play over and over again. And like Hollow Hollow was like the top of that list, like at the top for like probably a month. I played it over and over, and it's like this is just the song I identify with the most, and like I relate to the most, and like it sounds like me. It sounds like this is what actually goes on in my head, and like this is the music I like love to like listen to over and over again.
Do you know how to make Hollow Hollow?
Oh, my mom does. My mom makes amazing everything. My mom's the best chef. I yeah, I learned all my Filipino food recipes from my mom. My dad is like he cooks TV dinners. He's not like the best chef. He sort of just like he, he makes a good spaghetti though. But like my mom is like
The
the
cook.
the chef. Yeah, my mom's amazing. Ah,
What
she
before I let you go, what are your favorite Filipino dishes that your mom can make, and then what are your favorite Filipino dishes that you can actually make?
Oh, wait, hold on. Someone said hit up. Oh wait, Eris said hit up Halo Halo Cafe in San Diego. I'm gonna write that down.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that sounds great. Back to your question. Ah shoot, I miss Filipino food. Or like there's not a lot of it here in LA, and I live in Inglewood, so I live like
Go to Island
go to
Pacific.
go to where?
Island Pacific.
Island Pacific. I'm gonna
Yeah.
write that down too.
No, literally, it's a Filipino grocery store, but then they have cooked Filipino food, like hot Filipino food that you can just get. So you're welcome. So,
Oh, thank you. Okay, Island Pacific. I'm gonna remember that. Um, my mom makes the best lumpia, and that's pretty much the only thing I know how to make. Is
okay.
like learning how to like wrap up the roll and like deep fry it. That's I'm not like the best. I'm so bad at cooking, but like
Hey, at least
that's
you know
like
how
one of
to
the
make
things I know how to
something.
do. What's up?
At least you know how to make something. You said you know how to make lumpia.
Yeah, I hope that's impressive. I hope people find that cool and interesting. But outside of that, what else do I like? There's so many things. I I've been like looking for sushi restaurants in my area, and usually or like either sushi restaurants or like Japanese katsu curry restaurants, and the closest place I can get those is like Gardena, and because I know Gardena has like a big Asian community, and I've been like sort of like scouting out and like going places and like checking places on Yelp, and like a lot of these businesses are like small businesses that are like trying to do their best in the pandemic and like try to like feed their families and like you know, and I feel like it's important that like I don't know, I'm just speaking personally, but
Right.
um a lot of these smaller businesses, I love giving them attention, and I love like I love giving them my business, and like a lot of these places make amazing food, and I'm trying to like help. I'm trying to like enjoy that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Oh,
I love, like I said, the energy and the vibes in your album reflects even in your personality and when you do interviews. So one, I wanted to say
thank you.
congratulations on all that, and please don't ever change, because it's really hard to come across people in the music industry that are just like positive, happy, but also like genuine about it. I can tell it's genuinely how you are. You're just a positive and happy and inspiring person, and you just want to inspire people. And I'm looking forward to when you have your millions of samples available on YouTube for people, whether that's
Thank
next
you.
year or 5 years from now.
Yeah, I'm always changing, honestly, but like I feel you on the thing about like don't stop having empathy for like people, and don't stop like listening to like I don't know, like don't stop caring,
Mm-hmm.
basically. But I'm always changing. I love what you just said right now. And I'm gonna keep that in the back of my head.
Love that. Before we go, let everyone know where they can listen to Mango Tail and follow you on all your socials and your website and all that.
Yeah. Oh, so wait. Someone asked. Oh, or Say just asked, what my plans are after COVID, or like what after my. I want to travel back to. I want to travel back to the Philippines again. I um like the Philippines is one of my favorite places to like travel to, and like
Except for
it's like my favorite place in the world. Like honestly, I wanna just like chill on the beach and like run through the jungle again, and like hang out with like my family there, and like go to like I don't know, visit my relatives and everything. Because like here in LA, I don't have family, or like I have my like immediate family up in Salinas, but here in Los Angeles, it's just like not a lot of people. Pretty much like my manager, my partner, and like pretty much like a few friends that I talk to. But yeah,
The Philippines, well, that flight's really long, but other than that, Philippines is great. Really, really great.
Yeah. Yo, it's like I think it's like 30 hours to like no wait. The last time I flew to the Philippines.
24, including all the layovers from California, for sure. It's very long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. You need to layover to like get to where I want to go.
Yeah.
Or like if I want to go to Cebu or like Palawan, you can't just like fly there. You have to like go to Hong Kong and then fly from Hong Kong to Manila, then fly from Manila to like whatever island.
I just went to Palawan. Was that last year? Last April.
Yo!
I loved it. So, yeah.
I love it there. I was just there in January. I went to Palawan. I went to Coron actually. And that place is so beautiful. It's like watching looking at all the rock formations and like all the nice water.
Did you go to the underground river?
The underground river? I went to like 8 different places. I don't remember what the underground river was. I did go under a cave. There's it goes to this lagoon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't. I'm just trying to remember as much as I can.
No, if you didn't go to that, you definitely should go there whenever the world opens back up, because that was one of those beautiful things I've ever seen, and it was just crazy that it's just been there, and then it's a journey to get there, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's really
a journey. It's like hiking for like 10 miles, or like not 10 miles. I'm exaggerating, but like it feels like that. And you have to like take a boat, and then you have to like take walk down a bridge and go under a cave, and you find all these like cool lagoons and like rivers and like lakes and like just like isolated bodies of water that like you don't really get to see a lot. Yeah, I want to go back. I miss it.
You should. Well, at least after COVID is all up, no, Palawan is really, really great. So if anyone hasn't been there, go make that trip, because it's, long journey.
Yeah,
it's so worth
when the
it.
world opens back up. Pretty much, yeah.
No.
Thank you, Jen.
No, thank you. Let's let everyone know where they can listen to the album and then follow you on all your socials.
Yeah, go listen to my album. It's everywhere. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. I'm working on a vinyl release. I'm working on the deluxe. I'm working on some other things that I can't like talk about yet. But everything's exciting. I'm super excited. I'm in a good place right now. And also, wait, what was that? Yeah, follow me on, I don't know. I usually don't do this thing. I usually don't do follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to my YouTube.
Well, now you just did, unintentionally.
Oh yeah, I did. It's all Shawn Wasabi, whatever.
I love it. No, Shawn, congratulations on everything. Looking forward to the deluxe and everything that's to come for the rest of the year and, the rest of your life. It's going to be amazing, and I can already see that. And I'll save this live, so anyone who wants to watch it, it'll be on my IGTV. And Shawn, I'll send your management some snippets too, so that you can have that as well in case.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you for
doing
so
much.
We don't do this often.
Thanks everyone in the chat.
Bye, guys.